welcome back to my channel. Today's video is about the new World of Warcraft expansion that probably won't arrive until like this time next year, but there's a lot of information out about it. Let's just get started. I've split it into, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 different points. And they are, just to keep you kind of enticed, there's a new class, new level cap. We will update the timeline and the story. There's a new zone, new instances, class order halls and class changes, artifacts, a new transmog and PvP system, and then I think it's just kind of random stuff after that. Point number 1 is the new class. Now, we don't get a new race in World of Warcraft Legion. We get a new class, and the class is a Demon Hunter. And as I speak here, I'll throw up some pictures of what they look like, and etc, etc. So, the races that can be not a Death Knight, get them mixed up, a Demon Hunter, are a Night Elf and a Blood Elf, because it sticks with their lore and the whole Gul'dan messed up elf demented thing. It sticks with their lore. It basically means anybody who's cast out of the elven civilization because they were using fell magic and demonic abilities and stuff became demon hunters. I think that's the reason behind it. They are a hero class, like a Death Knight, which means they'll have their own starting area and they'll start a lot higher than, you know, a troll or a normal warrior or whatever, as they would start at 1, but Death Knights start at 55. And Demon Hunters are kind of, nobody really knows yet because there hasn't been an awful lot of details, but they'll have their own starting area, and people think they'll start roughly around level 95 to allow them to kind of run through their own little starting area and level up a bit, and then dive straight into new content. In customizing a Demon Hunter, there are a lot more choices than a regular class. In a regular class, you can, it's not even a class actually, a regular race, because you change the features of the race and not the class, I suppose, but character design, let's just say. You can change horns, tattoos, skin colors, demonic scales, and you can have various types of eyewear. If you don't really know the lore behind Demon Hunters, they pull their own eyes out. It's kind of similar to Dead Eye Clan, Kilrock's involved in, but they only pull one eye out, so they can foresee the future, while Demon Hunters pull both eyes out so they can kind of have demonic vision, kind of unique abilities. One of which is the ability to see through walls. So, as playing a Demon Hunter, you'll just be blah blah blah, and then you can look through a building or like a wall or whatever, and if there's someone standing behind it, you'll see a little outline of someone. So, and as well as that, they can double jump. So while you would roll up to the wall, you might have an inkling somebody's behind that wall. You can't get over it. You're gonna have to go around and whatever. But with a Demon Hunter, you can see the outline of them, and then you can jump over the wall. It's really weird. They jump kind of like, I'm trying to watch my hand. So they jump, and then as they're coming down, they jump again. So it's like, meep, meep. Demon Hunters have 2 specs, not 3, not 4 like a druid. There is a tank spec and a DPS spec. The DPS spec is Havoc, and the tanking spec is Vengeance. They use Demonic Fury as a resource, like me as a Shadow Priest would use mana and Shadow Orbs, and, you know, stuff like that. Warlock would use Burning Embers, I think it is. They use Demonic Fury. They use cloth and leather for armor. They use glaives for weapons. Glaives are the weapons that Illidan and the likes of Vol'jin use, the weird curvy knife blades that are pretty efficient in lopping someone's head off. There was another thing. Oh yes, the reason there isn't a healing spec for a Demon Hunter is that why? It would be weird if a demon hunter could heal, it doesn't really fit with that demon's, demon lore. It's like, yeah, you're a big scary demon, but here's some healing. Point number 2 is the level cap has now increased to 110. As before with Warlords it was 100 cap, now it's went to 110. People imagine that when you buy the pre-order of Legion, you'll get a boosted character like you did with Warlords. I think that's probably going to be like a staple now. That's going to happen with every expansion, so you can dive straight into it instead of leveling from 1 all the way up to 110. Even though it takes a quarter of the time it used to, it's still a lot of grinding all the way to the top. But boosted characters in Legion will probably start on the new areas hub, and I will get into that later. Point 3, timeline and story. So, at the end of Warlords and the 3rd raid tier, Gul'dan gets expelled by Archimonde. Gul'dan ends up in Azeroth, or present Azeroth, not some weird demented 15-year-old Azeroth in the future or the past, like Draenor was 35 years in the past, but in a different timeline. None of that. That's all done with now. So Gul'dan ends up in modern day Azeroth. He decides, well, he doesn't decide, he frees Illidan from the Vault of the Wardens, and I will get into the Vault of the Wardens later. And pretty much they will wreak havoc on the world, the two of them. Because Gul'dan failed in Draenor, I think he's trying to just bring bringing the full might of the Legion now to Azeroth. And I know it's kind of similar to the Burning Crusade with, the Burning Legion, and Burning Legion are always kind of around somewhere, but this time it is the biggest invasion ever. So it'll be completely different apparently. So when they get to Azeroth and they free Illidan and whatever else, what I have here, they reopen a wound over the Pillar of Creation that houses a big night elf kind of palace that sits on it. They shatter the Pillar of Creation into multiple pieces, allowing Legion demons to stream through into Azeroth relentlessly, or infinitely. So they'll just keep coming as long as no one stops. So the point of then the new areas are to regain these pillar fragments, basically, and there'll most likely be one in each new zone that then you have to gather, and through raid tiers you put them all together to close the wound, therefore nothing else can come in, so then you just deal with everything in the surrounding areas and in the world. Little fact with the storyline is the Alliance's favourite person, Jaina Proudmoore, is now no longer the head of the Kirin Tor. Now, there's no reason why, there's been no reason why she's no longer the leader, no facts or anything, Blizzard hasn't said why. But now in charge of the Kirin Tor we have Khadgar, and I'd imagine, just summarising, that maybe he has been given the role or taken it because he done a much better job in Draenor than she did. If I can remember rightly, when you do the legendary quest, she kind of gets annoyed and disappears and you never see her again. Also the fact that Jaina is very Alliance centered, obviously being an Alliance character, while Khadgar is more neutral, so he kind of fights with both sides against one enemy. She's massively pissed off, that's all we really know about it, and that's surely good for the Horde because Jaina isn't exactly our biggest fan. So point number 4 is a new zone. Obviously with an expansion you have to have a new zone, or I suppose it doesn't really make sense to rehash old content like pretty much what started to happen in Warlords. It's all this new thing, and then once these new patches come out, basically just rehashed everything. But continuing, the new continent zone area is now called the Broken Isles. So there are 5 new zones in this area. There is Val'sharah, Stormheim, Asuna, Terminal Palace, Asuna, High Mountain, Suramar, and then the hub for this new expansion, which will be Dalaran. Now, you would think, how can it be Dalaran? Dalaran's in Northrend. Yes. It's a, how do you explain it? It's a slightly tweaked version that is coming with us, because obviously Khadgar is in charge of the Kirin Tor and he wants to help, so he's bringing Dalaran. So how this will work in the game is there will be an updated Dalaran in the Broken Isles with new textures and things to make it look new and kind of current. While if you're still questing through Northrend, old Dalaran will still be there in exactly the same form, but with lower Dalaran is now on the Broken Isles, not Northrend. So there'll be two in the world now, which is strange, but yeah, it's pretty much exactly the same, just with updated skins and textures. It'll still be there, and it'll serve as a faction hub for both. So, like it was in Warlords, there won't be two separate little areas in the same continent. Not continent. There won't be two separate hubs in an area that are very close together. It'll just be one central thing for everybody. So, let's just have a little read of a brief summary of the new zones. In Val'sharah, it's a forgotten druid refuge that used to be the pinnacle of elven civilization. It was in this area, way back in the day, that Malfurion became a druid. So it's kind of full and busting with night elf lore, and apparently it looks very similar to the night elf kind of area and stuff. In this area, you'll face off against the Emerald Nightmare. Now, if you know your kind of Dragonflight backgrounds, the green dragon Ysera is the dragon of the Emerald Dream, but now the Legion has corrupted it, so it's become the Emerald Nightmare. We will have to team with Ysera and Cenarius to fight back against the Nightmare, so that should be fun. Stormheim, under the fate of the Vicro that left Northrend thousands of years ago. It's the big half-giant Viking kind of guys that hang out in Howling Fjord. In this area there is Halls of Valor and Helheim that are instances. You will discover the origins of Valkyr and the Cavaldir as you ride the Ship of Souls into the Maw of Hell. Sounds very intimidating. Fight the Vicro's God King, who is a pawn to the Burning Legion, and this area is described as beautiful but scary. Asuna. Asuna is the home to Queen Ashara and her minions, the hateful Naga. It was once a big night elf civilization. There are loads of ghosts of ancient night elves and remnants of the blue dragonflight. So you'll come across them. High Mountain. It is a very Tauren-centric area. It's the highest point of this new collection of islands. The cool and interesting thing about this particular zone is the lair of the Earth Warden. Now, the lair of the Earth Warder. Now, if you have any idea who the Earth Warder is, it's a little gent called Neltharion. Now, Neltharion is Deathwing's human form. So, he has a lair here that was big enough and wide enough and tall enough to fit the full-scale Deathwing dragon. So, as you probably came up against Deathwing at some point, you know how big he is. So, this lair will have to be big enough to fit him in. So, this place will be absolutely massive. Of course, Deathwing isn't there, or Neltharion isn't there, because he is dead. He's not coming back to life like bloody Kel'Thas Sunstrider came back to life in 2 different things, and Illidan's come back to life, and that's not happening. Deathwing's dead and forgot about, which is sad because I like Deathwing. In this lair, there are other things hiding in there, so you'll have to go in there and clear them out effectively. Mr. Nessingwary. Mr. Nessingwary Safari is located in this zone, which is kind of makes sense, as he is always hunting big game. Suramar. Suramar is the pinnacle. It's not pinnacle. It's the most night elvish looking one. There's a new race of elves that have lived there for 10,000 years, flourishing for magic abilities. So I would say they're somewhere between a night elf and a blood elf, as a night elf uses magic for good, and a blood elf is just corrupted with magic. So it's maybe somewhere in between. They have turned by the Burning Legion, and hold the last pillar fragment. This zone also houses the second raid tier, which I will get into later. Point 5 is new instances. There are 9 new dungeons and 2 raid tiers that were announced at Gamescom. Blizzard plan to give dungeons in this expansion more attention to keep them more kind of current. So it'll enable you to kind of keep going back for them. With Warlord, you've done them once, and then when you unlocked them on Heroic, you've done them again, and you didn't have to go near them again. Even though they kind of tried to make it go again with 6.1, 6.2, and the daily quest to go and do a dungeon, whatever. But they says they will try and keep them current and give you a reason why to go back. So, the new dungeons are as follows. Halls of Valor. It is a leveling dungeon above Stormheim. It's based on Valhalla, the Viking portrayal of heaven. This provides more lore in the Valkyr, not the dead ones that Sylvanas always has, but the shield maidens from Northrend, if you know your Northrend lore. We have Blackrook Hold, the ancestral home of Lord Ravencrest, the big elven structure made out of stone covered in a dark shadow. Vault of the Wardens. This is where Gul'dan found Illidan, and the starting area for the Demon Hunters, so they'll all kind of intertwine with each other. It's full of cells, darkness, and evil. The Eye of Ashara. This is where we will go to get the Pillar Fragment from Queen Ashara and our Naga minions. Darkheart Thicket. The heart of the Nightmare Corruption at the base of the World Tree. So this will be in Val Shira, where Malfurion is. And it makes sense because Malfurion is involved in this dungeon. You have to kind of go in and save him from being corrupted. And you have to fight your way through and cut all these things. It would make sense with a name like Darkheart Thicket. Then we have Neltharion's Lair. The giant cavern where Deathwing lived is now home to the High Mountain Warriors. In here you will find another pillar fragment. So, Helheim, the opposite to the Halls of Valor. I remember from what I said before, the Halls of Valor was Viking Heaven. This is Viking Hell. It is literally a ghost ship for the cursed and damned, and it is an actual ship. So if you liked Grimreal Depot in Warlords, this should be kind of right down your alleyway. Then we have Suramar City. Not a lot of information on this one, apart from it says in here you'll need to uncover ties to the Legion and big picture events that are happening. Violet Hold. Yes. An old dungeon, you think. Ugh. But as Dalaran is coming with us, so is the Violet Hold, so it kind of makes sense. This one has been updated, and because it is now located closer to the halls, or not the halls, what am I talking about? As it's now located closer to the Tomb of Sargeras, it is kind of awoken unknown evils and demons that hide within. And you'll have to go in, take care of it, but while you're in here you will unveil origins of Dalaran and the world itself. So kind of be fun to see where that goes. Then we have the raid tiers. Raid tiers. Raid 1 is, they're going to do a similar kind of raid tier progression as Warlords did. Tier 1 will launch not too long after the expansion goes live. Then we'll have raid tier or tier 2, then tier 3. And it'll be the same kind of boss numbers as with Warlords. You had Heimal 7 bosses. Same thing will happen with Legions tier 1. It'll have 7. Tier 2 will have 10, just like Blackrock. So the first one is the Emerald Nightmare. This is a corrupted version of the Emerald Dream, as I mentioned before. Blueprint created by the Titans, blah blah blah. Similar pattern to Warlords, as the Emerald Nightmare will be the first raid tier and have 7 bosses. Tier 2 is Suramar Palace. In here you'll have 10 bosses, just the same as Tier 2 in Warlords. At Blackrock Foundry had 10 bosses. Palace will be very elven, there'll be no spikes, there'll be no fell blood people oozing about. It'll have a very similar entrance and style to the Black Temple, where you won't just walk straight through the front door and do everything. You kind of have to go in a wee side hole. You'll appear in the basement and you kind of work your way up to the top. And the thing about Suramar Palace is they revealed the last boss of Raid Tier 2, and it's going to be Gul'dan. So little Gul'dan will probably get his just desserts at the end of Suramar Palace, which is sad because I like Gul'dan. I always have. I don't know why. He just looks like a creepy little old man that's just trying to get a bit of power. That's pretty much what he is. But they confirmed at the end of Suramar Palace you will get rid of him. 6 is Class Order and Halls. Now, Class Order Halls in Legion. Oh, where to start? It's a shared space, unlike the garrisons, which is very unsociable. So, Class Order Halls is the main point of Legion. As with Warlords, you got your garrison, you built an army, you fought back. While in Legion, that's not really going to work because numbers are pointless against the Legion. When they have infinite numbers, you'll never have enough to kind of overwhelm them because they'll always overwhelm you. So you have to be smart. So Legion has taken a more class-based attack to it. So instead of fighting for the Horde or fighting for the Alliance, you will fight with your class. And your class will be obviously made up of priests from the Horde and the Alliance. So you will all fight together as a class against this big enemy. So that's what a Class Order Hall kind of encompasses. That's where your hub will be almost. Won't be separate versions. Halls will be the place that you'll be able to get quests. So this is where you will start everything, and you'll get artifact upgrades, which I will get into after what artifacts are. There'll be no banks, no auction houses, nothing like that. This will just be a very central story-based lore hub. So, as I am a priest, I don't yet know where my order hall will be. And I hope it's not somewhere that's all full of light and heavenly divine spirits, because not all priests are heavenly and divine. Of the 3 specializations that I have in my class, there is 2 healers and 1 DPS. There's a light, and a dark, basically. I'm a shadow priest, so I'm dark. My lore is kind of different to the other priests and stuff, so hopefully it'll encompass that, and it won't be somewhere light like a church, or hopefully it'll be somewhere kind of weird and dark because you're a shadow priest. But for other classes, such as rogues are very sneaky and secretive, so their hub will be in the underbelly in Dalaran, hidden underground so you can't really see them. Shamans will have a cave at the Maelstrom where the elements are the strongest, which makes sense. Warlocks will have a Legion portal because they're connected to, evil and darkness. And the last one we have an example for are Paladins. Paladins will have a sanctum under the Light's Hope Chapel in the Eastern Plaguelands, is it? Up there in the north of the Eastern Kingdoms. So that'll be Each individual class will have its own hall and own area to kind of call its own. When in a hall, you gain champions. As with warlords, you got followers that done the missions for you. In class order halls, you'll get champions, except while you send them away, they won't actually go and do the content for you. They will enable you to kind of do that area with help of such. But I'll just give you an example. Instead of sending someone off to kind of kill a certain boss in a certain area, you will send them away now, and they'll kind of do something, and then they'll come back and be like, okay. But then when you venture into that area to kill that boss, you'll get some kind of combat reward, or you'll get, what does it say here? You'll gain rewards or combat bonuses. So it means you'll be able to kill things quicker, or you'll heal quicker, or, get my hair out of my way. You'll be able to do things quicker because your champions have kind of helped you out in that area to kind of boost you a little bit. So that's what they do. The point of your class order halls and champions is to work with elite heroes of your own class to take care of the Legion in the correct way. We'll move on to class changes. I will just list through these. Class is the leading point of expansion. As a story will be class focused, emphasised around each spec to make it feel unique. Mistweaver monks obviously have an issue with fist weaving that Blizzard have acknowledged. Okay, with class changes, Blizzard are kind of streamlining certain specializations for certain classes. As with rogues, assassination specs is now going to be themed around poisons, as the others now won't be. Subtlety rogue will be focused on a kind of a ninja style, while combat rogues have more of a pirate feel. I don't really understand that. Like, arr. Pardon me. Priests. This doesn't affect me, as it's only disciplined priests. They're changing to a more offensive type of healing. So instead of just kind of healing everyone at one go, you will heal your teammates by attacking other people. So you would throw a healing buff on, say, that person, and then you would attack this NPC, and as you do damage to that, this one will heal. So it's a different way of, healing, just to add a bit of variation to it. Frost Knights are now dual wielding, no more two-handed weapons, probably to allow for their artifacts, which we will get into after. Warlocks, again, they're changing the theme of each spec. Affliction is now the master of dots. Destruction are mainly burst damage, and demonology will now become like a beast hunter. Not tame demons, or they will now tame demons, not become them. Because, as I forgot to mention earlier, demon hunters have another ability that allows them to metamorphosize into bigger, huge, big, scary demons. And warlocks used to have that, but now it's being changed so they can't do that, so it'll only be a class-specific thing to a demon hunter, which makes sense. And again, with warlocks and rogues, hunters are getting a kind of streamline. Survival hunters will now be melee with a pet. Beast mastery hunters will now be ranged with a pet, and marksmanship hunters will be ranged without a pet. It doesn't affect me a lot. As you know, if you've heard me kind of talking about Warcraft before, I have a marksmanship hunter, and it's always been nice to kind of tame a pet and have it come with you and attack and act as a tank while you deal damage from afar. But now you will not have a pet. So I'd imagine, because you don't have a pet to do damage and drop focus, you'll be able to kind of deal more damage yourself. Like your attacks will go up. New PvP system and transmog. There's a new PvP system in place that is called Honor System version 3. It's a very interesting name, and it focuses on replay value. There are now 50 different honor ranks. As before with PvP, you kill members of the opposite faction, you gain honor points to buy gear to kind of strengthen yourself in PvP. But that's no longer happening, I believe. This new system will be put in place, and it'll be like a rank. So you'll start at 1 and you go all the way to 50. As you get from 1 to 50, you kind of unlock, I think it's about 18 different abilities and traits and stuff like that as you kind of go from this point to this point. Some examples of the new abilities are Abolish Magic, Adaption, Blood and Soil, Mind Quickness, and Necrotic Strike. I can only remember what Abolish Magic does. As you cast it, it stops anybody from casting any magical spells in the area for like 3 or 4 seconds, so that's kind of handy. But upon reaching level 50 in this new system, you can either decide to kind of go back to level 1 and prestige, kind of as you did in Call of Duty games. You got right to the end of the leveling numbers, what? You got right to the end level, and then you can stay there with all your traits and all your abilities and all your weapons and stuff, and you could just be a boss. But if you wanted a challenge, then you would prestige and you would go back to 1, and you will have basic stuff. You'll not have any of the unlocked traits or abilities. You'll just go back to what it was. But the reasoning behind prestiging is when you prestige however many times, you get little portrait badges to show how many times you've prestiged and how many times you hit the level cap and how brilliant you are at the thing. You'll get unique mounts that can only be unlocked through this system. You'll get cosmetic items, and you'll get artifact upgrades that can only be got this way. There'll be a new free-for-all PvP area in Dalaran with the ability to bribe guards to go away. That's strange, but there you go. The new transmog system that's being put in place will allow players to collect item appearances and save favourites without having to sacrifice bank space. Now, I don't know if that means you can kind of get a transmog spec as you want it, and then save it as a favourite, and then you can get rid of those items and just transmog based on your favourite. So, apparently it's something similar to Diablo or something like that. I've never really played Diablo, so I wouldn't really know. Artifact weapons, which we will come to next. Artifact weapons can be transmogged to other weapons, but it cannot be done the other way around. Artifacts. Now, the coolest part of the expansion in my eyes. It is a unique weapon that each individual spec, not each individual class, each spec, I think there's 36, will get a very unique weapon to them to kind of further their lore. Once you start the expansion, your specialization will get a quest to start its artifact questing. It'll be the only It'll be the only weapon to drop in the entire expansion, as it's meant to have that kind of epic feel. So once you gain this artifact, no more weapons will drop. So this will end everything. As I said, each spec will get their own specific kind of weapon that suits their lore and playstyle. For example, Enhancement Shamans will wield Thrall's Doomhammer, because Thrall is an Enhancement Shaman, so it makes sense. Retribution Paladins will wield the legendary Ashbringer. Can't remember the guy who had that before. Frost Knights will now wield Icebringer and Soul Reaper that are forged out of the shattered remains of Frostmourne, so they'll have to kind of go looking for Frostmourne fragments in Icecrown Citadel, so that'll be fun. One of the coolest artifacts are for Feral Druids. As they're mainly animal forms, getting a weapon won't really look any different. So they get really cool looking skins for their forms. And you've probably seen in the picture I put up there, one of them's a normal form, not one of them is kind of a artifacty form that changes their whole appearance. Priests haven't been updated as to yet what their weapons will be, but hopefully it'll be something cool and dark, as I said, with the class order halls, and it's not all lovely light and perfect for priest healing. I want something dark and twisted for priest DPS. Each spec will have its own questline, as I said. For example, Death Knights, in order to get their artifacts, will have to travel to Icecrown, as I said, and they'll have to gather fragments of Frostmourne and piece them all together, Apparently this is to take over the legendary quest, as you'll get the quest to kind of start your artifact, and as you work your way through the expansion, it'll go from normal to a legendary weapon anyway. So it means everybody will get one, and it'll be their own specific thing. Protection warriors will discover the legend of the Vicro King to further their weapon development. Each artifact is customizable with various different looks and skins as it grows stronger. In order to strengthen your weapon, you'll need artifact power, and you'll gain this by any type of meaningful gameplay, such as questline, dungeons, raids, downing rares, and PvP. Once enough power is kind of gained, you can unlock abilities and traits for the weapon using its talent tree. Yes, it has its own talent tree, kind of like you with your traits at different levels. Your weapon will now have this too. Each weapon tree is different and allows you to customize its talents to suit your gameplay. As well as artifact power to strengthen your weapon, there will also be relic slots that will enable you to change the base stats such as DPS, intellect, strength and such, and these will only drop from raid and dungeon bosses. So that pretty much sums up everything for artifacts. So let me know below if you're interested in artifacts, because they look really, really cool. Blizzard are planning on making professions more prominent in Legion, as with Warlords they were kind of forgot about because everybody was in their own hub doing their own thing and didn't need to go out into the world and find stuff. But they'll have their own quest lines, and apparently it'll make them feel more meaningful. There'll be no flying in Legion upon launch, the same as Warlords, and I think this is what's going to happen now every kind of expansion. It happened in Mists, when you eventually got to Pandaria, you couldn't fly until you reached max level and bought a license, because it gives the continent that more of a gigantic feel. You kind of have to get everywhere on foot. Warlords, of course, you didn't fly, and now upon Legion you won't fly either. It'll have a similar setup. Eventually you'll be able to kind of earn achievements to kind of get to a point where you can't fly, just like Warlords is now. There's new social features. When you or a friend join a queue for a group, dungeon or raid, a notification will be sent to your online friends encouraging them to join you. So it means then you can fill a raid or a dungeon quicker. There will be improved group communication in group circles, and just a lot of little kind of tweaks here and there. But there are little lower character blurbs on Blizzard's website that involve people that'll be in Legion, and I've picked two that are kind of interesting. First one is Anduin Wynn, and it says, heir to the throne of Stormwind, Anduin is wise beyond his years. Time and time again he's used diplomacy to end conflict, inspiring even his warrior father to lay down arms in the pursuit of peace. But diplomacy has its limits, and sometimes villains can't be reasoned with. As the Burning Legion threatens to annihilate Azeroth, Anduin will learn the true cost of peace, and whether he's willing to pay it. Now, does that mean that he will die, or his dad will die, or somebody high ranking in the Alliance side of things will perish because someone has to? So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. So that was one I kind of picked out from the Alliance side that I kind of thought was good. The one I picked out from the Horde side was Lady Sylvanas. And hers says, the Forsaken's ruthless leader is a formidable champion of her people, but with the Burning Legion's invasion, the stakes for the Dark Lady have never been higher. Should Sylvanas perish, her demise will be the beginning of her eternal damnation. All that stands between her and this doom are the Valkyr, yet few of these spirit guardians remain. As her fate edges closer to the abyss, Sylvanas must decide how far she will go to protect her people, and whether they are more precious to her than her soul. So what does it all mean? Does that mean if Sylvanas picks herself over her people, will she then get shunned from the Forsaken undead culture? They'll not kind of see her as the leader anymore, and they'll forget about her and she'll be on her own. But then does that mean that could be a next Blizzard should just hire me as a writer. Maybe if that happens and she gets shunned, Sylvanas and Jaina Proudmoore because Sylvanas has been shunned by the undead, and Jane is pissed off at the Alliance and Kieran Tor and Khadgar because he's knocked her out of power, and maybe they'll kind of combine and be kind of a joint faction hatred of the world, and they will try and destroy everything when the world is reeling from a Legion attack. Meh. Hire me, I'm a good writer. So that is pretty much an overview of everything that Legion has to offer so far. I know this video has been very long, and I apologise for that, but thank you for sticking with me, and leave a comment below if you're interested in Legion and what you're looking forward to. Don't forget to like, as I said, comment below, subscribe, and I will see you next time.